Is it on? All right, everyone. It's a 5-minute warning, and then we'll ask for everyone to take their seats. Yeah, I'm ready. All right, we ask that everyone please take a seat. We are going to begin here momentarily. I would like to call all the speakers to the stage as well. Welcome to the stage. I'm going to ask you like kind of a question to lead in. Talk about, but that's it. Yeah, so it'll just be one question. I think she was saying like 2 minutes for everyone, and then everyone will ask questions at the end. And they should direct to who the questions are for. Yes, I put one right there. Thank you.
Got one? All right. Are you sure?
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming on this exciting day for the inaugural Music City Grand Prix. On behalf of the Music City Grand Prix, I want to introduce myself, Heather Horgan. I will be the host of this morning's press conference. Before we begin, we do have a few housekeeping notes. First, we do require that you keep your face covering on for the duration of the press conference. This includes, of course, while you're here in the building as well as outside on the riverfront. We do also want you to maintain proper social distancing of at least 6 feet between yourself and those around you. Second, we will open the floor for questions at the end, and we are accepting questions for those tuning in via live stream. We will call on you to speak. Finally, a media kit is available on the Music City Grand Prix website. That's musiccitygp.com. Again, musiccitygp.com in the About section. We will be populating it with additional photo and video assets immediately following today's press conference. But this is a very exciting day for Nashville, and we are pleased to have a panel of organizers and supporters here today. And seated starting on my left is Mayor John Cooper, Burke Nihill, President and CEO of the Tennessee Titans, Mark Miles, CEO of INDYCAR, Matt Cruz, CEO of Music City Grand Prix, Joseph Newgarden, Nashville resident, Team Penske INDYCAR Series driver, 2017 and 2019 champion, Butch Spearden, President and CEO of the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. We would also like to acknowledge Roger Penske, Chairman of INDYCAR, Christian Parker, President of Music City Grand Prix, and Jason Rittenberry, Chief Operating Officer of Music City Grand Prix. Now, you may have read or even reported on recently the excitement surrounding the potential for an INDYCAR race right here in Nashville. Today, we are pleased to officially announce the Music City Grand Prix is coming to Nashville in a multi-year agreement. Nashville will come alive with racing August 6th through 8th of 2021 as INDYCAR comes to town for the inaugural Music City Grand Prix. That weekend, the streets of downtown will come alive with the sound of music, food, There has been and will continue to be a lot of time, planning, and resources to host this, and the Music City Grand Prix team is honored to have the support of the community behind it. Starting with Mayor Cooper, who we welcome to say a few words on behalf of the City of Nashville.
Well, thank you very much. In fact, it's on. Hey, good morning, everybody. I am so proud to be here. IndyCar racing to Nashville is going to be another jewel in our crown. And I want to thank Mark Miles and Matt Cruz and Burke Nahil and Butch and Hendersonville's own Joseph Newgarden and the reigning IndyCar Series champion. But I'd also like to thank Roger Penske, the chairman of IndyCar, and Bud Danker, the president of Penske Corp. And I'm here to thank people. This is years of hard work to make this possible. This is years of hard work to help make our city even better. Now, we're known for world-class sports and entertainment, and over the years we've hosted record-breaking crowds of fans, spectators from all over the globe as we become an international destination. We had 200,000 fans at the 2017 Stanley Cup, and we had 600,000 fans at the NFL Draft. And Nashville has the energy, the hospitality, and the infrastructure to bring world-class racing to the streets of Nashville. Now, this three-day festival is an important private investment in our city and will serve as a catalyst to our economic recovery. As a privately funded event, Music City Grand Prix will cover its own police, fire, and public works costs. All costs are covered. This is 100% net positive benefit for the people of Nashville, Tennessee, and I want to thank the organizers for their hard work and skill in putting that kind of fabulous opportunity for our city before us. The Grand Prix marks a huge step forward for our community as we look to the future. This is not just next year, but this needs to be a permanent part of our city going forward, and the three-day racing festival is going to be another international moment for our city in Nashville, and it's the latest addition to our portfolio of best-in-class tourism events that can benefit and be completely additive to all of the citizens that live here today. And on behalf of Davidson County, I want to welcome IndyCar and the Music City Grand Prix to Nashville. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate you being here to show your support today. Next, we welcome Tennessee Titans CEO and President Burke Nihil, who is here today on behalf of both the Titans and Nissan Stadium. Burke, please share with us the impact that Music City Grand Prix brings to the Nissan Stadium campus.
Sure, thank you. We're very proud to be hosting this event. We already see Nissan Stadium as a world-class sports and entertainment venue, but we believe there's a next level, and we're going to be working hard to achieve that next level over the next decade or so. And something like the Music City Grand Prix is just pitch perfect for what we're trying to do in activating the stadium to make Nissan Stadium a cultural and entertainment hub for Nashville. We've had world-class sporting events and world-class concerts for years, but we've never had anything quite like the Music City Grand Prix. And we're excited to watch the parking lots and the rest of the campus be activated with the festival-like atmosphere, give fans an opportunity to get up and close to the cars and the racers, and we're excited to be a big part of this.
Thank you, Burke. We are honored to have the Tennessee Titans and Nissan Stadium play host to this annual event. The Music City Grand Prix will be a three-day event packed with food, music, and entertainment. At the core of that fun will be an urban street course that whips around the streets of Nashville. I now welcome IndyCar CEO Mark Miles to speak on behalf of IndyCar and how the Music City Grand Prix fits into the NTT INDYCAR Series and why Nashville is a strong addition to the circuit.
Thanks, Heather. Thank you all for being here. Let me just quickly start by thanking everybody up here with me. Mayor, we haven't actually met, but I've known by the week and by the month over the years now, and especially more recently about your support and your leadership, and I'm sure this would not have happened without that being the case. And Burke, we've gotten together a few times now, and to have the Titans as the host and have access to these your phenomenal facilities, looking out here, at one of the most exciting cities in America is part of the reason we're here for sure. So Matt and Chris, we appreciate your patience and your tenacity and your leadership. We certainly wouldn't be here without your work. Joseph Newgarden is our champion, and he can speak for himself, but the fact that he happens to be from Nashville is just too much, right? How does that happen? And he's not going anywhere anytime soon, I'm sure. And Butch is just Butch, right? I'm sure he has a last name, but everybody in Nashville calls him Butch. It is so clear how important the CVC's leadership and underpinning, in a sense, is to the success of this event and to getting us here today. And I also want to thank Stephen Starks. He's an executive at IndyCar, and he's been after this for a very long time and wouldn't give up on it. So, Stephen, we appreciate your hard work on it. I would just say that we couldn't be more excited about being here. I think it's a perfect fit. IndyCar is young, it's fast, it's exciting. We kind of cut our teeth. Part of our DNA is ovals, but now street races are a big part of what we do, and they provide great branding, great exposure, international exposure for the cities where we have street races, and they turn into, as has been said, much more than races. This will be a festival, and the fact that it's downtown, essentially, here in one of the most exciting cities in the world, where food and music and whatever else these creative folks dream up can be added to a sensational sporting event, an IndyCar street race, to me says that the mayor's right. This is going to be on your calendar for many, 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 many years, I hope generations to come, and we'll look forward to being here this coming August. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And as you mentioned, you're very familiar with the gentleman two down from you, Joseph Newgarden, a Nashville resident, current driver on Team Penske, and the 2017 and 2019 IndyCar Series champion. Joseph, how exciting is it to have IndyCar racing right here in your hometown?
Well, I think I can speak for all the IndyCar drivers and tell you that this is going to be the #1 destination outside of the Indy 500 next year. We always mark the Indy 500 as a key point for us, but every driver that I've spoke to that's heard about Nashville, they want to come to this event and they want to succeed. So for me, it's going to be probably the second most pressure-filled event to get right. You know, how do we win this race with Team Penske next year? But I'm so excited, so proud to be from Nashville. It's just a good coincidence, I guess, but I never dreamed of being able to drive for Roger Penske one day in the IndyCar Series, and certainly to run a race in my own hometown with a great team behind me like this. So it's going to be a big year to come to Nashville in 2021.
And since you know Nashville and IndyCar so well, can you tell us why Nashville will be so embracing of the IndyCar fans and the personalities?
Well, as everyone in this room knows, and I'm sure Butch will speak to length of this, but Nashville is an event town, okay? It doesn't matter what event it is. We're showing up and we're ready to party. And when you think about IndyCar racing, certainly on a street circuit, it is an event that you don't want to miss. And I think people in Nashville will see something that they have never seen before, which is a really unique opportunity for not only the fans here in town, but anyone else that's going to be visiting Nashville as a destination. So, yeah, it's an event town. People will support it like nothing else I think you've ever seen in any other city. You have the best backdrop. You have the best place in the world right now to bring people together for a festival, and I think we'll absolutely shine as a series to provide that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I always love the street course events that we get to run at. They're very exciting. They're very pressure-filled. One other element to a street course race that you don't get at other race tracks is that you get such close access to the teams and to the cars. IndyCar racing is a very visceral experience. You want to feel the power and the energy of what an IndyCar is all about. And with a street circuit, you really get a great opportunity for that. So people will have an immense feel for what racing and IndyCar is all about, and they'll have a great experience here, I think.
Thank you. Next up is Butch Spearden as the CEO of the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. Butch and his team have been an integral part in bringing some of the most exciting sporting events and festivals to Nashville. Butch, as someone who knows how to market Nashville, tell us why this event is important for Nashville and maybe even more specifically to our international tourism efforts.
Well, thanks, and I'm not sure I can top what Mark and Joseph just said about Nashville, so thank you guys for those kind words. I think, first of all, just being here today, I think I would have come for a go-kart race announcement, but to have something of this caliber and this good in our current environment is particularly special, so thank you for your confidence in us there. it's also exciting to be part of something new. I would say everything we have done in working with the Sports Council and Scott Ramsey and the Titans, the things we have done, at least in my opinion, everything we do is to get ready for the next bigger opportunity. So I think this is part of that next step, and we're looking forward to that. I can also say that August is a pretty important need month for us. So we love the date of the race. Please don't change that. We love that it's a 3-year commitment so that we have the opportunity to truly build this into the best IndyCar race in the world. That's our goal. We want to be a festival. We want to entertain, but we want people walking away going, I'm coming back next year and I'm bringing my friends. I want to thank Matt, Chris, and Jason for their work. They have worked tirelessly. They've done it right. And I can say this is my 4th iteration of chasing an IndyCar race. And none of the other 3 felt right. You know, there was always something. And we wanted it. We tried. But it never worked out. And I would say now it didn't work out for the right reasons. And now we're here for all the right reasons. So that leads me to thanking Mark, Roger Penske, and Joseph. So thank you guys. Thank you particularly for making Nashville a racing town now. We needed the credibility, street cred, if you will. But Roger and Mark, your commitment to us and your confidence and support is invaluable. You put the good housekeeping seal of approval on this race, and you put that same stamp on Nashville. So thank you. Last thing I'd say, as we're looking forward, August of 21 really becomes an important date in recovery from COVID-19. Hopefully we'll be doing more before then, but next August this becomes particularly important and personal for me and our organization and our industry, and a new televised, truly international fan event is the perfect cure for COVID-19. So thank you all.
Thank you, Butch. Finally, we have Matt Cruz, CEO of the Music City Grand Prix. Matt, did you ever think this day would come?
Actually, no. It has been a journey, and I want to thank so many people who have worked tirelessly to get us to this point today. I'll spend the next week calling and thanking people because there's no way that we would go through hours if we had to do it here. I'm so incredibly excited to be working with the organizations we're working with to partner to pull this event off. Working with the Tennessee Titans, the City of Nashville, IndyCar, Butch and his group, and then there's countless other local and statewide agencies that we're working with to make this happen. I'm extremely proud of the team that we put together at the Music City Grand Prix. I'm extremely proud of the ownership group that has come together over the last 2 years to support this group. It puts us in a position that we can be everything that we can be. We can make this the event that it can be because of their support and just the VIPs we have from a management point of view. It's really, really special. You know, Butch says all the time that Nashville throws a great party, and we are so fortunate to come in behind that. Nashville's always going to provide great music. The food scene has gotten better. But to be able now to layer in the best drivers in the world, the best teams in the world, we can truly create something that moves the event needle in this town and state for the next 30 years. You know, anybody that knows me can tell I'm an extremely proud Nashvilleian. I love my city. In 326 days now, we get to show my city to the world. And that's really, really important to us as an organization. Working with IndyCar's 27 broadcast partners in 160 countries, this becomes the first opportunity for us to really prove on a worldwide scale what we all know in Nashville this city has become, and I never thought we would get to that day. I would be remiss if I didn't stop and thank Bob Flynn. Bob with the Tennessee Titans, there's been at least 3 or 4 occasions he have sat and toasted the death of the Music City Grand Prix. Thankfully, he or I never quit, and a lot of other people as well, but the number of times we have sat and commiserated about it, it's pretty special that I wanted to make sure we recognize that today. I actually wrote something down in my book about 3 weeks ago. We were fortunate enough to have Mr. Penske and his team tour Nashville. And I heard something I thought I would never hear in my life, so I had to write it down, and I can't find it, but I can remember it for sure. We had toured Nashville. Mr. Penske wanted to see the track, wanted to see the city. We had meetings planned over at Nissan Stadium. We planned about 2 hours to kind of go through the plan, the site plan, the budget. About 10 minutes of that meeting, Mr. Penske pushed back from the table and said he'd seen enough. He thought it was time to go racing. And then, Mark, I think you came in pretty quick and said when he says it's time to go racing, it's time that we go racing. So I guess with that, it's time for us to all go racing. So.
Thank you all for your great perspectives. You reinforce the community effort that has gone into getting the Music City Grand Prix to this point today. That will get us to August of 2021, and that will keep the Music City Grand Prix as a premier event for food, music, racing, and entertainment for fans for years to come. With that, I do want to open the floor for questions. We will start with our media partners here on the floor today, and then we will go to the live stream to get some of those questions as well. So Colleen, if you could raise your hand. There she is in the back. She will let you know when it's your turn, but there's a mic where she's standing in front of. If you want to go there to ask her question, please state your name and the affiliation you're with. Any takers? No one? Alan? Yeah, the mic will be helpful.
This question is for Mayor Cooper. Mayor, you said this is going to be self-funded and complete private investment. There's going to be a lot of police activity, and firefighters will require to be on scene as well. So this will be fully funded and paid for by the Music City Grand Prix?
Yes. And it's part of, let me just again thank everybody, and it's something that people have worked so hard to make possible for Nashville. I want to thank Matt and Mr. Penske and his organization. This is going to be an event that covers its own costs. But by generating the crowds and excitement and energy for Nashville, everybody else is going to be able to benefit from that too.
Now, when you say some costs, roundabout figure perhaps?
Well, let me defer that question over to Matt and the specific. This has been something. When I'm here to thank people, I'm here to thank people for years of hard work in putting together the successful business plan that allow this to happen and our city to flourish.
And you see it more as more than a race car event, but you see it more as a kind of like the CMA event.
I agree. And I think Butch highlighted it brilliantly. It's a festival. It's a festival that can really enrich our city, be an international destination, to be a platform for a lot of other exciting things to happen. And again, I'm grateful for the business acumen and the long-term effort to make this possible to be just a complete win for Nashville.
And just one more question, Mayor, I'm sorry. How much street closure will we see downtown as a result of the three-day festival?
Well, I think the plan is evolving. Obviously, people are going to have plenty of notice, and in the end, not that much. I think that it's the Titans' willingness to be the primary sponsor that makes so much of this possible. That it's really on this side of the river and on the Titans property itself where they are, that allows this to happen with a minimum of disruption. But at the same time, the CMA Fest brings some level of disruption too, to be sure. But it's the kind of profile for our city as we get on the other side of COVID, that we're going to be the greatest city in America in the 21st century, and this is one of the ways that we're going to do it. And to show the excitement and the energy when we get on the other side of the virus, to not only get life back to normal, but better than it was before.
Thank you.
Any other questions in the room? Okay.
Yeah, Heather, let me jump in on that a little bit. So we've worked extremely hard with the site plan to limit traffic interruptions as much as possible. A lot of the surface work will be done intermittently throughout the year leading up to the event, a lot done at night. Ultimately, around race weekend, we'll have about 3 days of closures. We're going to have a very aggressive TV campaign, radio campaign to explain, not just explain the closures, but explain alternate routes. Ultimately, we look at it as probably less traffic impact than a typical sporting event because we assume that the majority of our attendees are going to be staying in downtown and walking to the venue. But we will be far ahead as far as the messaging campaign. We've already began working with Metro Police on that. And you know, you really understand once you work with Metro Police and fire and special events why events are successful in this town, because that's what they do. And they do a phenomenal job of heading off problems long before they happen.
And to go off of that, can we talk about the course and how unique it is?
I'm probably the least qualified, but no. From a fan point of view, and again, we've always kind of said jokingly that if half the people leave here and never see a car and have a great time, we've done our job. The race course is phenomenal. Tony Koppman, who is a world-renowned designer, who's here somewhere today, he's literally spent 2 to 3 years here working on this design. And we were finally able to get used to the bridge, so it really turned this from a racetrack to more of an epic event. We've put a lot of thought into fan opportunities, fan zones. We've actually studied the sun path for those particular dates to make sure we're building as much in the shaded areas as humanly possible. The infrastructure of Nissan Stadium is so unique in that we're able to use the East Side clubs, a lot of the infrastructure that a typical event like ours wouldn't be able to use. So it's just such an unbelievable, home field advantage with what Nissan Stadium provides the fan experience. From a track point of view, the early response we've gotten from drivers is phenomenal. It's got everything. It's very technical. It's high speed. From a fan point of view, it's got all of that. The ability to race over water is something that the best we can determine has never been done to this scale and degree. And again, as much as anything, to show off our city. We've said from day one, if this is going to be the first glimpse of somebody to see Nashville, we want to show them our best side. So to race over the Korean Veterans Bridge with the colors and the background lights, really, really special.
Thank you. And now we'll ask those joining us on Zoom for any questions they have. I know Kate from IndyCar is helping us with that. So Kate, can you let us know who has a question?
Thanks, Heather. Yes, we do have some questions. We'll start with Bruce Martin from speedsport.com. Go ahead, Bruce.
This is any one of the gentlemen from Nashville can answer this, but in a relatively short period of time, you've gone from Music City, USA to Motorsports City, USA, the addition of the NASCAR banquet, a NASCAR race out at Nashville Super Speedway, and now IndyCar. If you could discuss how rapidly the city has gotten back into the motorsports industry.
Well, I'll go first, and I'd love Butch's comments. One of the things people don't understand here in Tennessee, but people outside of Tennessee understand, is what a presence our automotive industry is in this state. It's really probably the biggest single employer in the state. It's growing. We have the headquarters of Nissan here. We are a car capital. We don't recognize that we're a global car capital, but we are. The council from Mexico met with me a few days ago talking about getting international flights to the cities in Mexico that have a lot of production that's being managed by Tennessee, right? So having a recognition of how important the industry is and how important the racing is, which is part of the industry, is completely natural for us to be here. A little bit, we're sort of a new Detroit. Detroit has a Grand Prix experience, and again, it's part of our celebration, our being on the world stage in an industry that people don't necessarily associate with us.
And then a follow-up for Joseph Newgarden. Speaking of epic events, the challenge, or actually the daunting aspect of racing over a bridge. I mean, how do you look at that? Is that kind of it's got to be a little bit of a thrill ride for you.
Yeah, I would say so. It's going to be very exciting. I've never seen a street course laid out like the one we have here, so I think the uniqueness of the challenge is very present. And to Matt's point, I mean, what I have in my head when I see the layout of the track is it's going to be a really pretty shot of the city when you see the cars going over the bridge. So it's not just going to be really fun to drive, but I think it is going to showcase the town of Nashville in probably the best way possible. It is probably the best viewpoint that you can get of the beautiful city. So I'm excited. It does look challenging. You know, I've always welcomed new racetracks because it's a brand new challenge for everybody and an opportunity for the drivers to try and figure it out first. So that first year is going to be very special. Whoever figures this track out the quickest and wins the first event, I think they're going to be really happy about that, because that's always a goal when there's a new event on the calendar.
And finally, for Mark Miles, does this grow the 2021 schedule to an 18-event schedule? I know that the last couple of years it's been a 17-race schedule. I'm sure that a lot of things, because of 2020, you have some things up in the air, but is the intent to make this an 18-race schedule?
Thanks, Bruce. We are 2, 3, 4 weeks away from releasing next year's schedule. All I would say to you at this point is, beyond the fact that we're delighted to be able to add Nashville, is that it is going to look a lot like what you expect from IndyCar schedule, a lot like what it looked like before.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Next, we're going to go to Ben Johnston from PaddockEye.com. Go ahead, Ben.
Thanks, Kay. Yeah, it's a question for Mark. Mark, how beneficial is it to IndyCar to be heading to Nashville, given that it's such a popular city in the U.S.?
Well, as I said earlier, we're thrilled. Nashville, to me, is, if cities have a brand, Nashville's brand is just in a meteoric rise. We look out here and see cranes everywhere. I feel like I'm in Shanghai. But it's also young and exciting, and we know that this is a city that turns on. What you all did, what was done here for the NFL draft, sent a message around the sports world, especially in this country. So we just have complete faith that this is going to be the kind of success where the two brands marry up, young people get involved, and have a great time, and it's going to be here for a long time. I come from a city that's had its 104th race of the same type in the same place, and that's what you want. You want it to be in the same time of year with date equity, and you want it to be something that the people of the city, they don't have to know the date, they just know on the calendar, they just know it's when IndyCar's here. It's the Grand Prix week. So that's what's going to happen here, I have no doubt. I was here as a tourist, as a visitor for a bowl game, a college bowl game there, I guess a couple bowls ago. We stayed on the other side of the river, and we walked with the governor of the state of Indiana to your stadium. And as far as I'm concerned, this is downtown. It's just so seamless, and yet it gives us the advantage of being right in the entertainment district, but with a minimum amount of the disruption that would otherwise come if we had to be on the other side of the river. So between the logistics, this track, which I believe will have lots of passing, will be aesthetically amazing, but also competitively really dynamic and exciting. And all the people that are here, we're sure this is going to be around for a very long time.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Ben. Next, we're going to go to Jeroen Demendahl from champweb.net. Go ahead, Jeroen.
Hi, thanks, Kate. I got a question from Mark Miles. Can you say anything at this point whether the Road to Indy will run here as well?
Not definitively. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that's the way it works out, but we haven't really gotten to that yet.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go one more to Jordan Bianchi from The Athletic. Go ahead, Jordan.
I have a few questions for Mark. Mark, looking at next year's schedule, kind of following up on Bruce's question, 13 of 18 races presumably are going to be on street road courses. Is there a concern that maybe the balance between street road courses versus races on ovals is kind of skewing in one direction, that you need more ovals to kind of balance out the schedule a little bit?
The way I've always thought about it is that we want balance, and I actually sort of think of it from the point of view of ovals, temporary street circuits, and road courses. And we've had for years about a third, a third, a third. There's not a quota. It doesn't need to be precise. We just want to represent our racing in all three genres. And I'm sure you're going to still see good balance next year.
Another question, too, is we've seen street or road course races come in with great expectations, a lot of hype, whether it's Baltimore, New Orleans, Houston, go on and on and on. What is it about this race, this event, that is different from those, and that this is going to give it staying power so it can become a mainstay on the schedule? We've
talked about some of what I will say, but date is critical, and I think it was already said that this date in early August is a great opportunity for Nashville, and I think it works really well on our calendar. You mentioned Baltimore as an example. I was involved in that. We'd love to be in Baltimore, but we were kind of racing around the environment of both a Major League Baseball and an NFL stadium, and we knew in the date that we had, we couldn't have date equity. We wouldn't have consistency. So to work with the Titans and the folks in Nashville to get a date that does not complicate the NFL schedule, or our schedule didn't have to work around an NFL schedule, I think was one of the reasons that this took years to put together. The other things we've talked about, we couldn't be more impressed from the city and the administration. We met with the governor. Everybody is stitched together. This is a place that knows how to come together and put on a great event, whether it's in the music industry or sports. And we've seen that, and we've got a great group of investors, a couple of whom are here, and I won't name you all, but we can't tell you how grateful we are that you stepped up to help make this possible. And we got a great track, and I just see no reason that this won't be a sensational addition to the series.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Those are all the questions that we have from the Zoom. So at this point, I'll kick it back to Heather. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Any other questions before we wrap things up here on the floor? Okay. All right. Thank you all for coming today or tuning in wherever you are. We are celebrating today with this formal announcement, and we look forward to sharing additional details on other partnerships, music, entertainment, food, and more as we continue to work toward the event August 6th through 8th of 2021. For more information, please visit musiccitygp.com or at musiccitygp on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Press materials are available on the Music City Grand Prix website. Again, that's musiccitygp.com in the About section, including all assets gathered from today. That concludes today's press conference. We welcome those locally to proceed out to the riverfront for photos of our organizers and partners around the Music City Grand Prix car. Thanks.